I'm Mike Pettiford, and this is going to be the Facebook Live episode 3, and we're going to talk tires. And if anybody's out there, I think I can actually see your comments this time, unlike last week. I'm getting better and better at this, which isn't saying much. So if anybody's out there, give me a comment that somebody's listening. And once I get that, we will be off and running. And we're going to be talking about tires. One of my favorite subjects, actually. I just ordered 5 sets of them today for the race cars and street cars. We're actually trying some different things on the C8. We're going to go a little bit bigger and see if they fit, because the car needs more tire. I'm gonna type something in just to see. Okay, so I'm listening to myself, and that was a test. And nobody else is listening, maybe. So maybe I didn't invite anybody. I'm not sure. But I think Liam was supposed to sign in. He's one of my students. So we'll see if we get any comments from either the comments section or, like with last week, I think we ended up getting it on Messenger, which was kind of weird, but better than not getting anything at all. So I don't have anybody there. All right. So, I am just wondering if anybody's receiving me. So if you are, type a comment just so that I know that I'm reaching somebody. Okay. So maybe Mr. Cruz. But I'm still not getting anybody in the comments section. And I don't know why that is. Let's see here. And Zach. Okay. So a few seconds ago. So I'm reading you, Zach, on the notifications, but not in the comments. So I don't know how that's going to work, but because in the notifications, I don't think I can get a question. Let's see. Brian, John, Miller, Shar. Hopefully everybody's watching, but I'm not getting any comments. I wonder why that is. Well, I don't know what else to do to get live comments. So I'm just going to start, and I'm hoping that somebody's there. How about that? Let's see, privacy, feedback, display, accessibility. Yeah, none of those are what I want. All right, well, I'm just going to figure that Zach and Alex and Brian and Shar and maybe Wilbert are watching. And we're just going to start talking about tires and we'll go from there. So let's start out by, if you have a tire on a production based car, there are 3 different bits of information that are pretty important. They're found on the sidewall of the tire. One of them will say tread wear. And tread wear basically tells you how sticky the tire is. So tread wear, you can have tread wear, the number can be anything from 800 to 0. And the lower the number, the stickier the tire. So if you look on your tire, and again, this will be on the sidewall, and the number's 800, that means that that particular tire could last you for 60,000 miles, which is a long time. Now, as far as stopping distance on that tire, since it's going to last for so long, the rubber compound is going to be pretty hard. So if you are going to stop on identical cars, identical roadways, identical drivers, and the set of tires that you had on one car was an 800 tread wear set, and the set of tires on the other car were a 200 tread wear set, the 200 tread wear set would stop in a shorter distance because the rubber compound is going to be softer or stickier or give you more of a coefficient of friction. And that's why they put the tread wear number on the tire. Just to give you a kind of a reference, the Hoosiers, the R7s and the A7s both have a tread wear rating of 40. So that means that they're going to be really sticky, but as far as longevity, they're probably not going to last you 60,000 miles. I've run a lot of those tires. I'm sponsored by Hoosier. Thanks, guys. I think they make the best DOT sticky and the best slicks out there. I've done a lot of comparisons. I've been sponsored by other tire manufacturers, and I think Hoosier is the best. And I think they're going to be the best. They take it really personally by being the best tire and winning, especially SCCA road races, because some other organizations prohibit the use of anything under a 200 tread wear tire rating. So and that's in the interest of saving money. So that's, I guess, a good thing. The only thing is the R7 Hoosiers last a really long time. I've been surprised because when I put them on the Corvette, my tire budget probably went down 25%. The tires were faster than the R6s and they lasted longer. So, in theory, that's impossible. But in actuality, I don't know how they did it, but they did it. So, I mean, we can, normally I would have been at Circuit of the Americas this last weekend, and we would have taken one set of tires, and it would have lasted us the entire weekend. We wouldn't have even had to rotate them. Now, Circuit of the Americas is a very smooth track, and it doesn't wear out tires. So perhaps that's not the best test, but still, to do 3 days on a Corvette and not even have to rotate a tire for the weekend, a 3 day weekend, that's pretty amazing, I thought. So I was impressed. So anyway, tread wear rating, that's what that means. Um, there's also another uh, descriptor on the tire called traction, and this means that what does the tire do in wet weather? So if you have an A, that means that it's very good in the wet. If you have a C, that means it's not very good in the wet. And the Hoosier R7s have a C because they have no tread. They have little indentations, which makes them DOT legal. But if you're going to go through big puddles or snow and ice, that is not going to be the tire for you. If the racetrack is just damp and there's no puddles, they're still surprisingly good. But if you have any puddles, a C rated tire on traction is not what you want. And finally, the third descriptor on the side of the tire is called temperature. And this is how well a tire dissipates heat. So for the R7, it has a 40 number as far as tread wear. Its traction is a C because it's not very good in the rain, and its temperature is an A because it dissipates heat very well. So on your tires, when you're going to go look for tires, especially performance tires, they will always have that number on the side of them. Summer tires will have those. I think even mud and snow tires will have those. Winter tires will not have that rating on them because winter tires, the rubber compound is very, very soft. So that if you're in obviously cold conditions, snow, ice, the rubber is going to be much more pliable. Also, on winter tires, you're going to have a lot of siping, which are extra little grooves. So you have extra little grippies on the tires, and that's what gets you better traction in whether it's ice or snow, or adverse conditions. So what a lot of people do that are kind of hardcore, like myself, is we'll have a set of summer tires and then we'll have a set of winter tires. What a lot of people do is they'll just do one set of mud and snow tires and they'll keep them on the car year round. And that works fine. I mean, especially if you live in the Denver metro area and the streets are pretty well plowed, you're not really going to need anything else if you're just doing normal stuff than a mud and snow rated tire. Now, if you live up in the mountains or in the hinterlands or you go skiing a lot or you're going to do, when it's snowing and there's 6 inches of snow and the roads are icy and the wind is blowing, you're going to need winter tires, not just mud and snow rated tires. So winter tires, an all-wheel drive vehicle, hopefully with a low center of gravity, unless you're on a ranch or something, or unless you're going skiing when there's 12 inches of snow, and then you'll need a higher profile vehicle. But for me, I mean, all my vehicles are pretty much low profile, except for the trucks. The trucks have got to be high profile because you can't tow a trailer with a low profile vehicle. So I've got two dualies, but I never drive them unless I'm hauling something or towing something, because that vehicle puts me at a disadvantage because it doesn't stop very well and it doesn't turn very well compared to my other vehicles. So if you ever see me in the dually, you know that I am either going to hook up a trailer, I am pulling a trailer, or I'm going to pick up something that I need a truck that won't fit in a Corvette. So let's see other things about tires. One of the most important things about tires is that next to the driver, tires are probably the best modification that you can make to your vehicle to have it go faster around a road race course. If you have a set of stock tires, and we've done this test over and over and over on just about every vehicle that we've had, from the stock tire that has, a tread wear rating of anywhere from 80 to 500, if you replace those tires with stickier tires, you can drop your lap time, 1, 2, up to, like, if you have an 800 tread wear tire and you replace them with a set of Hoosiers and it's on a really fast car, I mean, you could probably go 6 seconds a lap faster with no other changes. And that's a lot. Imagine how much horsepower you would have to spend money on to get a 6 second a lap better lap time. It would be a lot of money and it would be a lot of horsepower. And without sticky tires, you still couldn't hook it up, because sticky tires give you better braking, give you better cornering, give you better acceleration. You can get on the power earlier, you can carry more speed into the corner, and you can brake, of course, later. So, I mean, and if you want to set up the car, the more traction you have, the more the car will tell you what it needs. So, driver first, tire second. Usually, if you're going to go with a wider, lower profile tire, that's what everybody does. You want to reduce the unsprung weight. And unsprung weight just means any weight that is not supported by the springs. So we're talking springs, wheels, tires, A-arms on some vehicles. And if you can reduce the unsprung weight and increase the traction and also increase the track of the car, which is just the distance between the middle of the front wheels or rear wheels, then again, you're going to be increasing the performance of the car without having to get additional horsepower. The car is just going to work better, especially if you go from, let's say, a higher profile tire to a lower profile tire. Well, what do I mean by that? Okay, well, also on the side of the tire is the tire size. So you'll see something like a 295 60 18. So 295 is the width in millimeters of that tire. 60 is the aspect ratio. That just means the sidewall compared to the width of the tire. And the lower the aspect ratio, the quicker the steering, the higher the spring rate of the tire, and the more responsive the car is going to be in a performance situation. Also, the more susceptible it will be to potholes. Or if you like to go over curbs, you're not going to want a low profile tire because it doesn't protect your rims very well. So you can go from a taller, narrower tire to a wider, lower profile, lighter tire and increase the track width, and your car can really become a much better car to drive. I mean, in a track scenario or in an emergency scenario. And that can get you out of an emergency situation. You know, if you're cruising along and a deer jumps out in front of you and you have better traction and better response for your steering, your chances are better of avoiding that particular accident than running into a deer. So that can be very valuable. And I think once you decide to go to a stickier, wider, lower profile tire, it's kind of hard to go back. I've got multiple sets of tires for just about every vehicle that we have, and I will put obviously summer tires or very sticky tires on it in the summer, and then put either mud and snow or the stock tires with a higher tread wear rating, or winter tires. Our winters in Colorado the last few years have not been that big of a deal, but they used to be, and I used to get winter tires. And those of you that are wondering, is there a big difference between a winter tire and a mud and snow rated tire as compared to a summer tire? Well, there's a dramatic difference. If you took a car, let's say there's three identical cars. One car has summer tires, one car has mud and snow tires, and one car has winter tires. And let's say we're all on ice. So, and let's say we're going 30, and we go to threshold braking and we do it perfectly in all three cars. The summer tires will take more than double the distance to stop than the winter tires, even from 30. And the higher speeds you go, the more dramatic the difference is. And then, of course, the mud and snow tires are going to be right in the middle. Now, as we take that same test and we switch the conditions from ice to dry, and we increase the speed from 30 to 60, now the summer tires are going to stop in the shortest distance. And as the speed goes up, again, the advantage of the summer tires on dry pavement are going to be a lot better than the winter tires, because the winter tires, the tread compound is going to be so soft that it's going to get greasy almost right away. And once it gets greasy, the coefficient of friction goes down and it increases your stopping distance. Again, pretty dramatically. And again, the mud and snows will be right in the middle. So it all depends on what you want the tire to do and what your priorities are. If you don't want to buy tires but once every 4 years, then I guess, the answer is to get a set of 800 tread wear tires and just, roll around on those and hope you don't have to do any emergency stops or stop in a very short distance, because you're not going to have the traction for it. But you will have longevity as long as you rotate the tires from time to time. And when you get them, also make sure that your vehicle is aligned properly. So we're going to talk a little bit about alignment next, because most people know what alignment is, but they haven't really gone into any detail on it. Alignment is just what it says. It's how your wheels are aligned on the car. And if you want to get maximum wear and even maximum mileage out of your car, your alignment needs to be correct. Now, for every car in the owner's manual, there's an alignment setting or suggestions. Or if you go to your local shop or tire shop, they'll look your car up and they'll have alignment settings, stock alignment settings for your car. If you want to get the most wear out of your tires, have them do the stock alignment settings. That means they're gonna set the camber, which is just how the tires are as far as how far they are out from each other. The toe, which is how far they're out, like that. And then the caster is like a road grader, how much they're forward on their axis. So, and that's for basically stability. So if you have those three things adjusted properly, along with proper tire pressure, which you should visually check every day, and if you're fortunate enough to have a car that has tire pressure monitors in it, it'll tell you on the dash. If, matter of fact, my wife in one of our cars today, it had a low pressure tire warning, and the left front tire was down to about 20 pounds. So I took it to the local Big O, which is another one of my sponsors, and they took out a little piece of glass and or plastic, I guess it was, and put a patch on the tire, and that tire will go for another, I don't know, 10,000 miles or more. But had she not seen that and continued to drive on it, it would have destroyed the sidewall, and then that tire would have been no good. And then we probably would have had to buy an entire set of tires, because if you buy one tire that's brand new and you have the other tires that are, let's say, halfway or three-quarter worn out, the computer systems in some of the cars are going to not recognize the tires as equal, and that can throw off the active handling or some of the driver aids on the car. So watching your tires, watching your tire pressure, getting your alignment checked, and a lot of places will do alignment checks for free. So you can just go up there and say, I'd like to get my alignment checked. And if it's great, you owe them nothing. If it's not, they'll charge you to get it aligned. But it will certainly, oh, here we go. It will certainly save you money in the long run. Because if you've just spent anywhere from, oh, here we go. If you've just spent anything from, oh, I mean, $400, if you're going to buy a new set of tires, it's hard to find them for under $400, even if they're a very small size, all the way up to, you know, some of the cars, the more exotic cars with the 21-inch tires. I don't have to tell you guys. I mean, you guys are spending $2,500, $3,000 for a set of tires, and that's real money. So you want to make sure that you get the most wear that you possibly can out of a set of tires. So I just replaced a set of tires on my ZR1 Corvette. That's your over $2,000 set of tires. And I got every last bit of wear out of the old ones. And I did that by always checking the tire pressure. If I needed to rotate the tires from left to right, I can't crisscross them because the tire sizes are different. We're running a 315 30 19 in the front, and we're running a 345 30 19 in the rear. And that's a lot of tire. So if your alignment's off, if your tire pressure's off, and you're out, high performance driving the car or on a track, then it's very important. And as many cars as I have, it's very important that I don't destroy a tire when I very easily could have had that tire live a lot more. Let's see here. Okay, Shar, I've got you here, but that was from before, so I still haven't gotten any comments. So anyway, let's see. Let's talk about tire pressure for a moment. You want to, and on your door, if you have the stock tires, driver's side door, if you open it up and then you look in the sill of the door, not on the bottom, but on the side, there'll be a little sticker, and it will tell you what the proper tire pressure for the stock tires are. And that tire pressure is cold. In other words, before you drive the car, and hopefully when the car is in a shaded area, because if the car is outside and the sun's coming up on one side, the tire pressure is going to be higher where the sun is, because as temperature rises, tire pressure rises, usually at the rate of about 1 pound per 10 degrees. So if you're on a 30-degree day and then you roll your car out of the garage and the sun is out, that side of the car, the tire pressure can be 2 pounds higher than on the shaded part of the car. So what I try to do is either, if the sun is directly overhead at like noon, then great. All the tires, no tire is exposed more to the sun than the other tire. Or check them in the garage or in a shaded area. Or if there's cloud cover, that's great too. Then all of your tires should read the same. So then you'll set them to that cold. And then on some of the cars, like on one of my Volkswagens, you'll have to set that tire pressure in the car so that the car knows that indeed this is the normal tire pressure that I want. If you're in a Corvette and it tells you that your tire pressures are 30, it really means that they're 33. This is the silliest thing that I ever heard of, but it's true. I guess it's because of the altitude. So you can get a very accurate tire gauge, which I have, and it'll say 30 at the tire. You'll go in the car, you'll start up the car, you don't move the car, and it'll say it's 27. And that's just normal. So you want to set your tire pressures actually for what it says either in your owner's manual or on the driver's side door. That way you should get the maximum tire wear, especially if your car's just been aligned. Also, look at your tires. If you've got the center of your tire wearing more than the edges, then your tire pressure is too high. And likewise, if the edges of your tires are wearing and the center of your tire looks great, then, excuse me, then your tire pressure is typically too low. Now, the other way that you can tell that something is wrong is if your car pulls to one side or the other, or if your steering wheel doesn't line up perfectly at center, that's usually an alignment problem. Or if you look at your tires and you see cupping, then that's usually an alignment problem. Or if you're pulling a trailer with a truck or something, that's usually an alignment problem, or you didn't rotate your tires early enough. And again, if you're towing, I tow some pretty heavy trailers with my dualies, and about every 5,000 miles, I will get the duals rotated. And we try to get the most wear out of those because, again, buying 6 tires a piece for 2 different dualies is not my idea of a good time. So I want to get all of the wear that I can get out of those tires. I've got some BF Goodrich all-terrain TAs for both trucks. I've tried a number of tires, and those are they're good and they look good. Now, are they the best? I've not really done a comparative test. I mean, I've tried Goodyears, they seem to be good. I tried Big O tires, they seem to be pretty good. But the BF Goodrich truck tires, the all-terrain TAs, I like the way they look. There is a little road noise with them, but in adverse conditions, like I've been caught in a snowstorm with them, and both of my trucks are 2-wheel drive with limited slip. So I've got 4 wheels that have traction, not 6 wheels, and with that combination and the right tire pressure, they seem to wear pretty well and get me through the bad conditions pretty well. So I like those tires for the trucks. Um, the new tires that come on a lot of the vehicles, I just burn those up and then we put stickier or Hoosiers on them. That's what we're doing to the Corvette. We just went from a 245 tire to a 295 tire in the front, and from a 305 tire to a 325 tire in the rear. So I can't wait. They're not actually on the car yet. They came in today. They'll be mounted up tomorrow because they were very cold. And as Hoosier will tell you, you don't want to put a really cold tire and try to get it mounted. You could actually crack the tire. And if the tire is cracked, then it's not going to, I mean, you won't be able to use it. So it's very important. And I'm pushing buttons here to see if, yeah, none of that is getting me any comments. So I'm just going to figure that people can hear me, but they can't do any comments. So, and that'll be that. I'll do one more test here just for fun, just to show you guys that I can write to myself. There we go. Or I wonder if no, none of that's going to work. All right. Well, anyway, so tires. They're one of my favorite things. I was part of a drift team and was a drift judge. And if you want the best way to burn up tires, I would recommend either drifting or doing a burnout contest at the local drag strip or wherever they have one. And this is where, if you've never seen a burnout contest, this is where if you have what's called a line lock on your car, and that just means you push this little red button and it keeps the front brakes locked. In other words, you apply the brakes, and when you keep the button down, it holds on to the front brake pressure. And then when you release the brakes, the rear brakes are released, but the front brakes are still on. So when you apply power, the car tries to hold itself there. And once you break traction, then the tires get greasy and then they smoke. And then you can do that for a long time until the tire reaches such a temperature that it will actually destroy itself. And what usually happens is you'll see smoke, and the tires can smoke so much that you can't even see the car anymore, or people around you. Um, and then eventually the tire will get so hot that it will destroy itself. The casing will actually come apart, the tire will pop, and everybody will scream and say that that was a really good time. And if you've never seen it, it's kind of pretty cool to watch, at least, the first 1,000 times that you see it. And to this day, when I go to the drag strip, driving one of the Copo Camaros that Emick Chevrolet lets me drive, it's pretty cool to do a big hairy burnout on a car that's got 1,000 horsepower. We start that car in second gear for the burnout, and then go to third gear, and then release the line lock, and you can just light up the tires, and it's pretty cool. And if you're going to do a quick lap time with that particular car, the rear tires have got to be hot. So if you don't do a good burnout, you're probably not going to get a good launch, and it could cost you as much as 3 to 5 tenths of a second if you don't get a good launch. If you spin or you go sideways or you have to let off, yeah, your time on that run is going to be burger, and you will not be the fastest one. So it's very important in drag racing, and tire pressure is very important in drag racing. You want to get a good contact patch, and typically the tire pressures for drag tires in the rear are pretty low, like 10 pounds in that area, depending on a lot of different stuff. Motorcycle tire pressure is very critical as well. If you're a motorcyclist and you're on your track day and you got a set of sticky tires, ask the manufacturer what the best cold tire pressure is. And some of the manufacturers are more comfortable telling you what the tire pressures are when you have tire warmers on. Tire warmers are obviously blankets around the tire, and you plug them in, and they bring the tire up to temperature. And when they bring the tire up to temperature, of course, the air pressure increases with the temperature of the tire warmers. So they'll tell you that. You'll put the tire warmers on, you'll check the tire pressure with the tire warmers on. Then when it's time to go onto the track, obviously you take the tire warmers off, and off you go, and you'll have the correct tire pressure. Now, if you want to do that without tire warmers, do that and then let the tires cool and see what tire pressures you end up with cold. And then that can be your starting point for the next time that you go out to the track. And tire pressure on a motorcycle is very, very, very critical. I mean, you can be 2 pounds of pressure off on a motorcycle with sticky tires or slicks, and that can be enough to really notice it. Cars, yes, same thing, but you've got to be pretty fast in order for that to be a factor or for you to notice it. We went out with very high tire pressure on the C8, and the first lap at speed was the fastest that the car has ever gone, but then the tire pressure was too high and the tires got a little greasy, and obviously the lap time went down. So tire pressures are very important. A lot of people, excuse me, a lot of people like nitrogen because the tire pressure variance with nitrogen is less than with air. But does nitrogen make the tire perform better? It does not. In other words, the tire, as long as it's at the proper pressure, doesn't know whether it's nitrogen or air. The advantage of nitrogen is you can start with a little bit higher tire pressure because you're not going to have as much variance. Like you could have, let's say you start with 30 pounds of air in a tire, you could go up to 38 pounds, even 40 pounds if you're really pushing the tire on a hot day. Whereas if you're using nitrogen, it's going to be less than half that. You're still going to get a little bit of an increase, but not nearly as much as with air. And a lot of people, especially if you're in an area where the temperature varies a lot, then nitrogen may be your thing. You will have to carry a nitrogen container with you because most tracks, I'm not aware of any of them that have nitrogen instead of air. We've always just used air because it's easy, it's convenient, and once you know how much air pressure increase you're going to get, you can set the tire pressures cold, and you can bring those tires up to that pressure. And then once you check tire temperatures on the outside, middle, and inside to make sure that your alignment settings are correct, then you can just hopefully you write that down, you keep a log of all the tracks, and you can just go directly to your notes and recreate your optimum conditions, which is what you want to do once you've been to a track and you're racing the same car. That's the advantage. um let's see, what else I was going to talk about. One more thing and I'm forgetting what it was. Alignment, tire pressure. Boy, I'm hearing questions. Let me see if I can figure some of this out because I bet. Let's see. Okay. And let's see if we do this. Nope, that's not going to do it. Sorry about that. That's what happens when you start pushing buttons and you have no idea what you're doing. That's what happens. Um, so anyway, tires are a big deal. Um, Again, the second best modification that you can do to your car. Driver would be number one, and let's see here. And what if I do that? That doesn't do anything. Okay. But if you can manage your tires and set them up, get a good set of tires, hopefully Hoosiers. Um, Find out the proper tire pressure. Now, there's another thing. Let's say that you don't know the tire pressure. Let's say you don't have access to the engineers at Hoosier like I do, and you've got a set of brand new tires and you want to know what tire pressure should I run on the track. Well, here's what you do. If the tires are brand new, you go out and you see how much they roll over. Hopefully, you've overinflated them just a little bit. And you go out and you bring it up to maximum speed. And then you come back in and you see how much tire rollover you have. And the way that you can tell is you want the tire to make as big a contact patch as possible, but not get into the sidewall. So most tires will have an edge or an arrow or just where the tread stops. And even if it's a slick, the tire will be very square, and you want to use all of that squareness, but you don't want to wear out the sidewall. So if you come in and the sidewall has got some scuff marks on it, then you want to increase your tire pressure till you've got maximum contact patch, but no sidewall. And conversely, and this is what usually happens, you'll get not enough rollover and you'll decrease your tire pressure. And you can go, it depends. If you're, if you're not even on the edge of the tire at all, you can drop it by 5 pound increments. But when you get close, you'll cut it down to 2 pound increments or maybe even 1 pound increments until it's actually optimum. And you'll be able to feel the difference as well because you'll get better traction. You'll be able to do, again, higher corner speeds, maybe even a little bit better braking and acceleration. So your tires are very important. Your wheels, get lighter wheels with more of a negative offset. That'll increase your track and your unsprung weight. And for performance, you want to get smaller diameter wheels. Some of the cars are coming with 20s in the front, 21s in the rear. If you can go down to 19 and 20s instead of 20 and 21s, your wheels will probably be lighter. And all the more you can reduce your unsprung weight, the faster your car is going to go. And it should cost you less to get smaller wheels. For the C8 Corvette, it came with 19s in the front and 20s in the rear. I went to 18s in the front and 19s in the rear. I dropped my unsprung weight by, I think, 7 pounds in the front and 5 pounds in the rear. And that's significant. Unsprung weight is kind of a big deal, and you'll feel the difference. I think I told you last time. On my Golf R, we did exactly that, and it's like a second faster out at high plains with no other changes. So, again, imagine how much horsepower you'd have to have and how much money you'd have to spend to go a second faster when you were already at the limit of the car. So, and we've done that on, just about every car we've had, and it pretty much always works. Then once you have extra traction and a little bit better handling, then you can do other mods. Once your driver's dialed in, now you've got sticky tires, lighter wheels, better wheelbase, all of that stuff, better track rather. The wheelbase doesn't change. Then you can do other things. But I would always start with that because then you're going to get the most bang for your buck. So I'm sorry we didn't get the comments going this time. I don't know why that didn't happen. And this time it didn't come on the phone either. Let's see here. Yeah, I'm not getting them on Messenger this time. Let me try one more thing. Nope, that was last week. So anyway, all right. So we're 50, almost 54 minutes in to talking about tires. Who would have thought? So I guess I will call it an evening. Thank you for all the people that are listening, and give me a topic for next Tuesday. I'm open for suggestions. So far, we've talked about cars. Fun cars to drive was the first one. Braking, we got pretty in depth on braking on the last one. This one we got fairly in depth on tires. And the next one, I'm open to suggestions. I can talk about a variety of topics. So anyway, have a good evening. If you have additional questions, call me at 303-666 4113. Visit the website at Go4IT. See the logo. Services.com. You can see me on Go4IT Space TV on Instagram. And it's been my pleasure to spend the evening with you. So have a good one. Be safe out there and go for it.